What's Donna Frazier wrote down here for? We call the meeting to order at this time. Roll call, Mr. Clerk.
Dominic.
Present.
Lyndon Johnson. Jackson.
Here.
Lynn. Bowman.
Here.
Cawthorn.
Present.
Watts. Middleton.
Present.
Atkins.
Here.
Chavez. Smith. Lewis. Johnson. We have a quorum, sir.
Okay, all right. We'll all stand. We'll have Commissioner Jim Smith, if you'll lead us in the invocation, and Commissioner Middleton, if you'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Sure.
Heavenly Father, we pause to call in your name. Help us, Father, to make the decisions that would be pleasing to you and to our country. We ask these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Everyone please face the U.S. flag and render the proper salute and recite with me the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here today for the August 6th, 2018 work session agenda. Before we start, I would like to welcome Donna Frazier. Happy birthday. Where's Donna? She left. It's her birthday. She's not here. Henry, you here?
Happy birthday to you.
Okay, and so we'll move on to our next item. Mr. Clerk, agenda additions. I have none. Do you have any?
No, sir, I do not.
Moving to our next item, which is citizens' comments. I don't have any cards. Todd, did you get any?
No, sir.
Okay, because we do have a lot of speakers today, so we'll move on to our visitors.
Next we go to visitors. Ms. Kirsten Howard, Director of Development, Robinson Rescue.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Dr. Andrea Master Everson, the President of Robinson's Rescue, and we are here to kind of give you a mid-year report and thank you again for all of your continued dedication and support to the spay-neuter mission and to helping the animals of Northwest Louisiana. We just appreciate it so much. Caddo Parish has really grown a lot in this department, and Robinson's Rescue, where we started 10 years ago, is a whole different outlook on spay-neuter. So we appreciate the support. We're celebrating 10 years of being open in September, and we've done over 54,000 spay-neuter surgeries, which is impressive for such a small clinic in this area, and it's also impressive to see all the animals that have been able to come through our program, and we couldn't have done this without your support. So we are so thankful. Y'all have been behind us from day one, and this has given the support for people to not have to have the choice. The service has been available to them. Y'all provide the funding to have Caddo Parish citizens who make less than $1,500 a month to have this service for free, and this partnership is we're just so appreciative of it. The whole partnership has done over 4,000 free spay-neuter surgeries, and that's really impressive. We're one of 159 clinics across the United States and Canada, and when I go to meetings and talk to national people about this partnership stands out. They always come and ask me, how do you have this relationship? And I think we have this relationship because of Caddo Parish Animal Control and because of our support and we want to see this a better place for all the animals. So we really, really are here today to explain how successful we've been, and we couldn't have done this without your support and funding.
Good afternoon. My name is Kirsten Howard, and I'm the Director of Development for Robinson's Rescue, and I'm just going to go into a little bit more detail of exactly how many surgeries your funding has allowed us to do this year and in total since you began funding us in 2011. So this chart that you have in front of you shows how many surgeries you guys specifically have funded since the SNP Caddo program began in 2011. And as you can see, so far in 2018, we've done 415 surgeries, which is really excellent just for this 6-month period of time, because if we continue to keep with this number of surgeries, by the end of 2018, your funding will have allowed us to perform more surgeries, more free surgeries for Caddo Parish pets than during any previous year, which again, we are so appreciative of your support and just want to thank you for your continued support. So in 2018 specifically, we've done, again, 415 free surgeries, and this is a breakdown of how many surgeries month by month. And you can see February was kind of a record-breaking month for us. So we just want to thank you again and just show you how much of an impact these surgeries have had on our community. We have continued our community outreach initiatives. This picture shows our 50,000th surgery celebration, which took place in December of 2017. And this was just a celebration that you guys helped take part in which we said thank you so much to the community for allowing us to perform 50,000 spay-neuter surgeries and serving 50,000 pets in our community. We've continued community outreach, and one of the things that we're most proud of is working directly with the Caddo Parish Animal Services to start these voucher day events. These voucher day events are events in which we go out into the community at a designated date and location, and we say, hey, we will be here at this time. If you'd like to come and get a voucher for free spay-neuter, we will schedule an appointment for you. We'll give you all of the information you need, and we'll set you up for success so that you can have your pet spayed or neutered for free, thanks to the Caddo Parish Commission. So far in 2018, we've conducted 4 of those events. We've started giving tours of our clinic, which we think have been really successful in showing people exactly what happens behind the scenes at Robinson's Rescue. We've continued our work with the Boys and Girls Club and have continued attending community events and just really making sure that we are spreading awareness of the importance of spay-neuter and just talking with people about how important it is, but also educating them on the process so that they really trust us with their pets. And here are some of the community outreach initiatives that we've taken part in. Realtors to the Rescue has a Paws in the Park event, our 50,000 surgery celebration, Gift for Good. So we really are making a difference in the community and trying to be out there. As a result of our work, and I'm sure this is what you guys all care about the most, we have reduced our pet overpopulation by another 3,000 animals. So in the mid-year report that we already submitted to you guys, there's a more detailed list of all of the outcomes of our program. But just during the 6-month period of time, we estimate that we reduced our pet overpopulation by 3,000 animals, and we've saved an estimated $375,000 from Caddo Parish Animal Control for that work that we've done. We've also seen continued decreases in shelter intake and in euthanasia, and Caddo Parish Animal Control's euthanasia rate this year so far is below 42%, which is absolutely amazing. And obviously, there's still much work to be done, and we are ready to do that work with your support, but we're just so proud of the results that you guys have allowed us to accomplish so far. And these are the animals that your donations have impacted. So with that, I'm going to give the rest of it over to Dr. Andrea Master Everson, who's our President and Medical Director.
As we're thinking ahead and setting our projected budget and our expansion for 2019, we are excited to have your continued support. We really, really want to get more into these communities. We want to do more surgeries of people who need the service. And one thing that, we really have big goals of being able to have a 2-vet team. And one of the things that really helps see the impact is getting into the communities, getting more of our SNP surgeries. So I'm really proud that we're doing more in 2018, but we're pushing to do even more in 2019 and really hoping to be able to hire a second veterinary team too. We really, without your support, we couldn't do this, and that's why we're coming and asking for our continued funding for 2019. I think the most amazing thing too is that once we spay or neuter an animal, when they leave our doors, that animal is not going to have other animals that are turned into our shelter, and that's what happens. A lot of it is we're taking the education, we're going out in the communities, we're making sure they realize the basic steps and why it's so important to spay neuter. So it wouldn't be possible without your support, and we really appreciate the continued support and the fact that we're really making this a community clinic. We really have opened our doors this year and had the tours, and anytime that you want to come by or have a friend or anybody that even mentions, oh, what is really spay neuter, it is such a high quality service that we are able to produce, and it's not because we're low cost we cut funds, and we want to show that and make sure that everyone in the community knows how easy it is to get their pets spay neutered. So thank you so much for your time. Again, we're just really, really excited to expand in 2019. We really want to do more SNP surgeries. We want to do 794 to be exact for the funding that we've asked. And it'll really help the overpopulation problem, and that's why we're here, and we're here to do that, and we're here to support our parish. So thank you so much, and the 84,000 is our projected helping that we can reduce in 2019. So we appreciate it. We're excited about the future, and again, just excited to be working together with y'all and Caddo Parish Animal Services. So thanks so much.
Thanks very much.
Well,
Dr. Everson and Ms. Howard. We don't have any commissions on the board, so
I have one question.
you want to say something, Dr. Wilson? Go
Yes,
ahead.
sir. Dr. Everson, congratulations on your accomplishment. You mentioned in your discussion adding another veterinarian to do increased surgeries.
Yes, sir. So we're projecting, we actually have a projected strategic planning going on so that in 2019 we can hopefully hire another team. We're booked out currently until November, and so we have to, of this year. We do the public animals Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and we do cats on Fridays. We have shelters, only rescues only on Thursdays, but we'd like to get to more days where we can do, like, we would love to have a day, Mr. Clark and I, have talked about just having, a day just for Caddo Parish. And we're up for that. We just have to plan ahead right now because our schedule gets booked up. So as soon as we can find another veterinarian and another team to do more surgeries for Robinsons, then we'll be able to even, book more. So it's exciting.
It's more than likely that will happen.
We're hoping to. We're still, we're taking the financial plan so we don't become a financial risk. But, those salaries and everything comes with, but we definitely have applied for different grants and have that on the projected.
That'd be a great thing if that could happen.
It will. Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
support.
I appreciate it.
Commissioner Stormy Gates Watts.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I just would like to commend you all for being one of 159 agencies across the United States, including Canada. Did I get that correct?
Correct.
That's awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
An awesome accomplishment, and you've done 54,000 spayed and neutered. I would like to ask you, how can we attribute to making your goal come true with the 84,000 that you would like to do for 2018, 2019?
Really, having the financial support and the funding and just the partnership. I think it really means a lot. It's a lot of trust in the community that when we can say we partner with Caddo Parish. They trust that we're all on the same page. We're all on the same page with Caddo Parish Animal Services, and we all have to be on the same page to see a better future for the cats and dogs of this community. So, really the funding and the support. Just talk more about spay neuter in your community. Any kind of outreach, we're ready to go. We want a partnership together. So, thank you.
That's what I was looking for. What did you need for us to say?
Yeah.
And my last question is, you said that you hosted 4 events for the spayed and neuter events across Caddo Parish. Which areas were those events held?
They're targeted mainly in lower income areas that might not know about our services and that can afford the STIP program, which is the program that the parish funds. So far, we've done 4, and we're expanding in different areas. I don't know if you want to iterate the specifics.
Sure. So far, we've done 3 at Caddo Parish Animal Control and 1 at the Atkins branch of the Shreve Memorial Library, which is in the Queensboro neighborhood. But we're constantly looking at other locations where we can do those events in low-income neighborhoods where people may not have the transportation to get all the way over to our clinic. So we really bring the vouchers and the appointment scheduling to them, and then we can facilitate transportation if needed to our facility when they need to get their pet spayed or neutered.
Okay. And how, if a citizen would like to get on schedule for one of the events, who do they need to contact?
Sure. So we have, currently we're planning monthly events on the 3rd Thursday of every month at Caddo Parish Animal Control. So we have one on August 23rd, I believe is the date. But anyone can schedule an appointment at any time, either by calling us or we can schedule online on our website, which is just robinsonsrescue.org. And our website also has all of the information about how to apply for a voucher and what those qualifications are.
Okay. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner John Atkins.
I just want to thank you all for what you do. Obviously, there's a real leverage to taking a dog or cat out of the multiplying population, and there's real benefits to that down the road. So thank you all for all you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you for the support. We appreciate it.
Again, and again, thank you guys for coming. You guys doing a yeoman's job.
Thank you.
You guys have a good day.
Okay, thank y'all. Y'all have a great day, and thanks for the support.
Good job.
Next we move to Mr. Reed Ebarb, Chairman of the Shreveport Caddo Crime Stoppers.
They read.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I was asked to be here as a representative of Crime Stoppers by Commissioner Johnson. Did you want to hear just general about Crime Stoppers? Do you have specific questions?
I want to hear a general spiel of what
Okay.
you got, what you're doing.
Sure.
And then I want to ask a question.
Sure. So Caddo Shreveport Crime Stoppers is an organization through which we operate an anonymous tip line for anyone who wants to call in any sort of information about any crime. we get information about crimes from homicides down to property crimes, and as large as multi-state human trafficking rings to dogfighting. I mean, we get the true range of tips. Last year alone, last fiscal year, we had 1,183 tips received. 103 of those led to arrest. Some of those led to multiple arrests. Like some of those were, say drug tips where we got maybe 3 arrests off of 1 tip. We awarded $28,850 in tips. Of course, the money is given anonymously. A question we get a lot is, how do you give someone money if they're remaining anonymous? And what we do is, when you call in a tip, you're given a very specific tip ID number, and you're told to call back in about a month later, and you will give your tip ID number. And if that tip ID led to an arrest, you're given the specific award. You're given a kind of a cryptic number and sent to a bank. You give that bank the number, and they send you your cash. And you don't need an ID. You don't need to give your name, nothing of that nature. And so that's kind of how the system works. We've had resounding success. This last fiscal year was our best since 2011. We've had a great deal of success this last year in getting more tips in that led to arrest. And like I said, I mean, we are across the scale as far as what we do, from property crimes all the way up to, we've had homicide solved through Crime Stoppers. So that's kind of what our organization does. Commissioner, if you had questions, I'll be glad to answer as best I can.
Okay.
All right, Commissioner.
Are there any other type of Crime Stopper programs that we could possibly use, but you're restricted now because of you don't have the funding?
The biggest problem we're having is we have a lot of people, especially when we had kind of the chief of police for Shreveport had a kind of get together in the Stone Hill area, and a lot of people were real nervous about calling in on call centers, but they're really willing to give information through our app. And so what we've tried to do lately is get billboards out, to use billboards to push our app and say, you don't have to call in, you can give your information through an app. The biggest shortage of funding we're having is just trying to get our information out there, to get information about our app out there, and that's really kind of our hindrance at the moment. We found that the more advertising we do and the more outreach we do, the more tips we get, the more that lead to arrest. So that's really kind of where we're at on that, is just the level of funding we have to do the outreach we need. Our only main expenses are tips, the cost for the call center, and advertising and outreach. That's our main 3 expenses. We don't have any kind of payroll or anything of that nature.
Based on other cities that's our size and larger, are they doing any other Crime Stopper prevention programs that we're not doing?
Yeah, so Baton Rouge, which is of course bigger, they have a really cool program called the DECA 52, and that's where they took 52 cold cases or missing persons cases, put them on like the playing deck cards. I think they did that in Iraq, or there they had 52 most wanted people, and they did it in Baton Rouge, and they had a great deal of success with that, as far as getting those DECA cards out into the communities, out in the prisons, out in the jails, and it actually led to some cold cases being solved. I believe it also solved a few cases that weren't on the cards. That's the only real big program I know of. Besides, there's a Crime Stoppers in Schools program, and I think they've had some success with that, of getting some drugs and maybe some guns out of schools in other cities.
Do you know what type of costs is that, especially the ones that's in schools? What type of cost is that?
It's more of just needing the school board to get on board with it. It's not so much a specific cost. It wouldn't cost much money. It'd just mainly be the advertising and outreach costs. So, I mean, just off the top of my head, I mean, probably less than $10,000. I mean, it wouldn't be much at all.
All right, and you talked about an app. What is the name of this app, and how can people put this app on their phone?
Sure. So P3 Tips is the name of our software company. They have an app called P3 Tips. You can download it in the App Store. You just get on there, you say, I'm in Shreveport, Louisiana, it's Shreveport Crime Stoppers, and you type in your information. You can attach pictures as well. We've had people that were wanted on warrants that somebody was sitting next to them and just clicked a picture of them, sent it in, and said they're sitting right here right now. And that's how we've arrested people, actually. It's a really cool app. I mean, it works really well. P3 Tips, it's completely free to download. Once they download it, send their information in, they can delete it, and that way nobody will ever know it's on their phone.
Okay. Well, I know you've been watching the news, and we've basically been trying to sit down with all law enforcement to try to see what we can do to help reduce crime. And when I saw you on the news the other day, I said, well, we'd like to bring him in and talk and see what you can come up with.
Sure.
And basically with the programs that you got that you could possibly enhance, we still less than $20,000.
That'd be correct.
And so what I would like to do is, if you got some more programs and some potential funding needed for that, get with me, and then I'll try to pitch that to my fellow commissioners to see how we can help get some of this off the street so that we can possibly lower our crime rate in Shreveport and Caddo Parish. The P3 tips, that we just got to get the communication out. I know that the sheriff has a tip on his website, but for this one, if people don't know how to get to it or don't know it exists, then they won't do it. And I know if someone, just like you said, if there's a reward for an individual and they sit right beside them or sitting in the same building with them, they'll easily take that picture and say, hey, and where's my money?
Yeah.
But they got to know that, one, there's some money out there for them. Two, they can do it without nobody knowing that they did it, and they going to get the money at the end of the day. So I think that will work as well. But we just need to get more of this word out. And I think with some of the marketing deals that you do, like some billboards and some of the high crime areas, would help out for sure, because everybody in high crime areas got a cell phone.
That's right. That's right. Everybody has a cell phone now, so it makes it easy.
And so it makes it real easy to do that. And I just think that, I think we ran into a roadblock going one way, but we got to explore other avenues to see how we can get crime down in Shreveport.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Sometimes when somebody commits one crime, they get away with it, they'll go and commit another one. And so if we can get those guys off the street, then I think that we can try to help reduce what we got going on.
I agree. I think that's great. I'll get with you and we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Any other questions?
No one else is on the board?
Good deal. Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Now we'll go to
Now we'll move to reports, administrative report.
Dr. Wilson.
Commissioner Cawthorn, thank you. Commissioners, good afternoon. We have several updates today. And first, I'd like to have Mr. Lawrence Guidry come up and give us an update on what's going on with the the disaster relief assistance for Queensboro subdivision. And he's here to join us today. Mr. Guidry, would you come forward, please?
Good afternoon, Mr. Guidry. Always a pleasure to see you.
Lawrence Guidry, 620 East 85th Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71106. I want to thank the Commission for allowing the agency to operate and administer the Tornado Assistance Program. But first, I want to report to you that just got our news. We just completed our annual audit, and of course, you all are the grantee for Head Start, and we had no findings in any area, including the Head Start, so I want to let you know that. And Mr. Travis Morhart will email the audit to Ms. Erica Bryant. And Ms. Bryant, if you don't mind, would you make sure that each commissioner get a copy of the audit? And I want to thank you all for allowing us to operate that program on a continuing basis. First, secondly, I want to thank the Commission and the staff for allowing us to administer the program. I know of no other public body in America that's done what you all have done by assisting those victims in Queensboro area. I've had my association president in Louisiana look around the country to see if there were any, and he hadn't reported any back to me yet, so you all are to be commended for what you've done to help and assist these persons. Making it real short, I want to say that so far we have completed 14 houses that have been completely redone based on the damage that was done to the homes. We have another 14 that is in the hopper, of course, and have been actively done as I speak. And then we have an additional 4 that we put on a waiting list pending approval of any additional funds that you might want to give in order for this effort. So therefore, I wanted to report that to you. And of course, on your desk today was a detailed description of the program. It's pretty easy to follow. including pictures on the back to show you the devastation that was done to a couple of homes and the not remodeling, but the refinishing of the home after it was completed. We have files on everything that we've done. Every dollar that's been spent, of course, is itemized on the checklist that's before you. And as of right now, we drew down a total of $300,000. We spent $188,563, leaving $111,436.40 left. That's as we speak. So with that said, I'll take any questions you might have about the program.
Thank you, Mr. Guidry. Sorry I just got here late. I know your report's always good and accurate. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Guidry, no, this is our, let's see, 2 floods, smaller tornado. So this is our 4th disaster that we've actually stepped up to the plate to try to help the citizens of Caddo. What's so, I guess, different about this one? I know it's more of a heavily populated area.
What's so different about this one, because this tornado ripped down so many hundreds of trees. You would be amazed. It looked like a demolition derby when you went through the area to see. And some of those trees were 60 inches in diameter, 100-foot tall, oak. They fell onto the roofs of homes and what have you and stuff like that, split some in half. Others, they tore holes in the roof. And of course, you know, when you're getting repairing the roof, you just can't do a section of the roof. You have to do the whole roof. And that's what made this one here so much different. And of course, quite naturally, the wind apparently was more stronger in this one than the one that hit north of town near the Blanchard area, right, because it did damage to mobile homes for the most part. This one here did it to homes that have been in existence for 40, 50, 60, 80 years. So that's what's so different about this one. It's, right. And it was a lot tougher than the flood. Trust me, it was a lot tougher. Getting contractors and what have you. You know, we had a hailstorm just a week before the tornado came through. And most of the major roofers were busy and they're still doing those homes and what have you, stuff like that. So finding contractors who were both licensed and insured is to do the program is what we had to do, and that's what we did.
Did you find some that also with the tornado damage that ended up with water damage as well because of the trees that fell in? And
trees and what have you did damage to the water lines, power lines. Of course, we put a very nominal fee in there for tree removal and what have you. But for $1,250, we got many a tree removed. We didn't get them all, but we got many of them have been moved.
All right. Well, I appreciate the work that you and your staff do to help us when we don't have the resources to do it. We come up with the money, but you know, you come up with the resources and the people that actually hit the ground running to make sure that we can get this thing done. And just imagine if you wasn't in place and we didn't have the resources, where would them homeowners be at right now?
Well, the 9 people who I have working on this project, I wouldn't trade them for any 9 people that I know on earth.
Okay. Well, thanks again for your hard work and being able to step up to the plate whenever we need you.
Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner, hang on, we still got some more. Commissioner Bowman?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Mr. President. First of all, I just want to thank you again, as I've thanked you time and time again, even on the phone, Mr. Guidry, for all you and your staff have done, not just what you've done in Queensboro, but also just what you've done, like we've done in Blanchard and everywhere else. That just shows how just trustworthy and how everything works out every time with you and organization being a vessel. And I also want to thank the commission again for even making it possible for the funds that we even were able to receive. The federal government wasn't able to come in, and we service a lot of people who would have not been able to have help. And also, I mean, it's just, I'm still just grateful even to other people and organizations that's come and assisted, because this is something that none of us were really prepared for, but yet with Intel and even Stephen Jackson, I thank you as well, because I wouldn't have been able to even complete all of this without even your knowledge, and I appreciate what you did, and so and what you're doing.
Team effort.
Yeah, and so that says a lot. And I also just want to say, you mentioned about there were a number of persons who have not come forward.
Yeah, they have not come forward at all. There's 25 folders that I have, and they've not did the first, and I gave you a copy of the checklist
Right.
that we use, and they've only came forward one time, and they've never been back and what have you. Now, what we did was, we had about 8 or 9 contractors, and they had addresses and stuff like that, so they went to the neighborhood and passed out their business card or flyer saying that they were available for services. We wrote letters, we made phone calls. I can't say that the 25 is unserved because I don't know their circumstances. They may have decided that maybe they wasn't eligible or what have you and stuff like that, or they may have abandoned the property because, as you know, most of these people were not owners of the property, a lot of them were renters.
Okay. In that case, in those persons, should we set a deadline, or how can we close this gap?
That's entirely, of course, up to the commission or what have you. Is you can cut it off where we are and go on to the next storm, or you can set a deadline.
And one further question. For those who we have that have received certificates, whether it was minor, major, or destroyed status, with those persons, do we have enough funding overall to even capture all the ones that we have confirmed?
The ones we've committed to and what have you, people who've already picked up some material and what have you.
Right.
And that number is, I think it will be 28 plus the 4 that I talked about that already got contractors. Now, some people applied as late as July 27th,
Right.
for
I ran
example.
into
And
some
of
of
course,
those.
it's been out there for a couple of months. So therefore, you could use first come, first serve.
Yes, sir.
But if you appropriated an additional amount of money, what have you, stuff like that, to cover the potentially 25, well, you're talking about the same amount of money now that you did for the first 34, or 32, I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you again, Mr. Gibbs.
Commissioner Atkins?
Thank you, Mr. Guidry, for all you do. You were very gracious to thank the commission for the allocation of the funds to help our citizens in the area affected by the storm. But I think it's very important to always remind everyone that it's not necessary to thank the commission, because the commission is just the conduit. It's the citizens and taxpayers of the parish that provided the support to help those citizens out. And I think it's important to make that distinction, but thank you for what you do.
Well, can I tell you that I look at you, ladies and gentlemen, as statesmen,
Yes, sir.
people of courage. I just don't know what that means in this day's society.
God bless you.
You through, John?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Middleton?
Mr. Guidry, thank you for what you do. I mean, this is twice today, 2 out of 2, that we've had people come up here getting such national acclaim, so to speak, with Robinson's Rescue and all. And then what you've said about us being the only ones that does it in the nation. Appreciate that. Thank you for what you and your staff do. Keep up the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it.
And Commissioner Jackson?
Dr. Guidry, thank you so much. I see that we have some other obligations and that's what you mean by we need to probably appropriate some additional resources?
Absolutely.
Okay, and you'll let us, will you get in touch with somebody, maybe Dr. Wilson, to kind of be the point person on that to let us know? And is this the number? Is this like 25 people? Did I hear you say 25 people could be served if we did a little bit more?
If you did substantially more.
Substantially more.
I want to be honest and be
Right.
truthful, what have you, stuff like that. To do the 25, if all 25 of them came forward tomorrow, you're talking about somewhere between 15 and 21,000 per unit. You follow me? So that would be an amount that would take you to another 400,000 easy.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for stepping up to take on this task. I know if it were me, I'd probably run if somebody called. But you and your staff, time and time again, have stepped in and sort of piggyback on what you said and what Commissioner Atkins said and what Commissioner Bowman has said. We are sort of the conduit, but you and your staff, y'all actually crunch these numbers. You make sure that the paperwork is here. You make sure everything is easy for us to follow, because I'm not an accountant. And so you make a dummy version. You make a dummy version for me.
Neither am I.
And I'm not calling you a dummy.
I got you.
But this is, I know a lot of citizens out there appreciate you for this, and you also are able to connect them to other services that you provide as you do this program. So thank you for not just doing this, but what you do in our community every day, helping folks out. So thank you, Mr. Good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Guidry, and appreciate you. Dr. Wilson, turn it back over to you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, Commissioner Dominic, we have an update on the Caddo Common from Ms. Pam and Wendy. So Ms. Pam, would you like to come forward, please, and give us an update? I'm sorry, it says Shreveport Common on here, but I'm happy to call Caddo Common.
Caddo Common?
Yeah.
How you doing?
Going to screen us out today, but that's fine.
Hello, Ms. Atchison. How you doing today?
Great, thank you. Wendy's going to start, if you don't mind. Wendy Ben-Scotter, who's the Executive Director for the development called Shreveport Common.
Hello, Miss Wendy. Thank you for being here today. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. Do I need to get my address?
No, ma'am. You're
Okay,
good.
great. Okay. Well, thank you, Mr. President and Commissioners. As Executive Director of Shreveport Common, Inc., I think that you understand that in December of 2015, Shreveport Common became a nonprofit, Shreveport Common, Inc., with a group of stakeholder board members who were charged with advancing the Shreveport Common Vision Plan. We really fill the gaps and the obstacles in order to make that happen. It's a full-time job, and we thank you for having us up here today. So I also wanted to update you on the progress of the Common. There's been some rumors going around that the name of the park has shifted to Shreveport Common, and that's not true. Shreveport Common is the 9-block revitalization area. That's Shreveport Common, the neighborhood, and it's also the nonprofit. But the name of the park for right now has gone back to the original name that was in the vision plan, which is the Common as a placeholder name. Well, we are just so grateful for the $350,000 that you gave in order for the design to be done for the Common Park. Thank you so much. We would be nowhere without that. I don't know if you know that that also helped us get the 3D fly-through imaging, and so we really appreciate that too. Put engineers, artists, and landscape architects on that team. And then we also appreciate the $1 million budgeted amount that you put in place for the Common Park, but that came with a contingency that we find a $1 million private match. And I want to tell you, I can hardly say I'm sorry, because I can tell you we have worked so hard for this and we have faced many challenges. We're a very tenacious group. I think you know that Pam Atchison's probably the hardest working, most tenacious person that you know. But we've tirelessly struggled for 3 years. We've made 36 major presentations from anywhere from $500,000 to $1 million asks. Some of these were our local donors and philanthropists, but a lot of them included major corporations like Blue Cross Blue Shield, which Stephen Jackson helped us with that, and we appreciate that. Coca-Cola, Matthew Lynn was there every step of the way. Willis Knighton Health Centers and many others that you would know those names. And the $1 million match was not in where they could be right now in these tough economic times, although they fully support the project. So we also worked the last 9 months with Rotary Club of Shreveport, incoming President Joe Littlejohn, and a group of 11 Rotarian leaders were behind us 100% to be the first big project for Rotary in Shreveport, and that would have been $1 million that they would have raised for us, and we were one of 3 finalists. So we were very disappointed after 9 months to find out that we were not the project that they selected. But I do want to tell you that we have good news as far as where we've come so far. So while we didn't find the $1 million private match, and we found some private funding, but just not that big $1 million match, you cannot imagine our surprise and gratitude when Mayor Tyler and the City Council directed $1.2 million to start the construction of the park. That's for the infrastructure and the green space of the common to get started. And I want to tell you, too, that what that did was just knowing that the bids were out and there was a date for it, that released some of the, I can't call them small donors, they're big donors. We have 4 $100,000 private commitments towards the construction of the park with that. And sometimes you'll catch me saying 5, but that's because we have a group of people that we're aggregating together to get up to 100,000. But to just leave it clean for right now, let's say we have 4 $100,000 sponsors. And so what I have in your packets for you is a breakdown, if you look at the first page, of where we are today. It includes your $350,000 for the design of the park and the $1 million that was budgeted based on a private match. The City of Shreveport funds that not only include the $1.2 million for the park, but the money for the acquisition of all the 9 parcels and the environmental and legal fees for that. State of Louisiana is not included in the park, but we want you to know that their $1.2 million has helped repave both Texas Avenue all the way through and Common Street. It's made a huge difference in that area. Then I've got the private match. We're calling those the groundbreakers. 4 of those confirmed at $100,000 each. We've had Give for Good campaigns with a small group called Reform Shreveport. I don't know if you're familiar with them. They're mostly working with millennials to make change in Shreveport. And then we have, as of today, 2 grants. One $300,000 grant for the construction of the park, and another $100,000 private foundation grant. And those are both out, and we should know those in September. So we also have programming awards, $300,000 by the National Endowment for the Arts for Friends with You, which is an internationally known group and project that's coming to Shreveport in December 2019, and $300,000 additional for programming in July 2020. And I have the wrong date on that. I apologize for that. That should be July 2019 to July 2020. We also have partners that are committed to programming in the park, and we've gotten them through grants like Blue Cross Blue Shield. That's how we've found a lot of them. But not only SHRAC and SPAR, but Shreveport Green Mobile Market and Healthy Futures, the LSU Ag Center, and several of the health and wellness providers. And several, MLK is one of those. And then area fitness instructors have all said, as soon as that park gets built, we'll be in there programming, and we'll bring some of our programming to you, because they understand that we are in a very low-income neighborhood without access to parks or green spaces or healthy lifestyle. So we're trying to, and also we're a food desert, so we're trying to change that. So I think that I've got all that listed on the first page. I've hit the highlights. But I also want to say to you that there's been some economic development that you need to be aware of. And I want to draw your attention to, John Atkins, that we are $45 million to date, which is a figure now that is our total figure since we started the park. You know, that's up to, we're trying to get to that $100 million improvement in the area, improvement for our community in the area. But with that, on that first, page 2, you'll see some advancements. And I want to tell you that since you announced the $1 million money to go towards the park, we've had $15 million in additional property acquisition and redevelopment, and this is in our most blighted buildings. I'm not sure that y'all are really aware of how many blighted buildings are there. It seems like there's 1 or 2 and a lot of empty lots, but actually there's been a lot done. And when you turn the page to page 3, you're going to see the 9 projects that have been completed to date that have gone from being completely unoccupied and blighted to having businesses in them. Then at the bottom of page 3, you see that we have some that are nearing the end of construction. They've made major advances, and that includes the Milam Street Incubator, which is on Milam Street in Austin Place. Again, these are all private partners that are moving forward. And then on page 4, you have the newly funded and starting construction in 2018, the Unita Biscuit Building, if you haven't been in it, and even my picture doesn't show that the entire roof caved in. It has taken a year for a private developer, to say, yes, we will develop that building based on a national research study that TRAC had done to bring in ArtSpace Minneapolis to talk specifically about you know, who needs what kind of live workspace in Shreveport. And that construction, have you seen them? They're already on the building starting that construction. So we have private developers. None of these people are big name. None of them are big out-of-town groups coming in. These are our local citizens that are improving these buildings. And second is the Anders Garage. It's between the Central Art Station and the Strand Theater. And I don't know if you've noticed it. Right now it has a mural on it, but that garage has been empty probably 30 years. It cannot be used as a garage. It's got terrible problems with it, but thanks to a J.P. Morgan Chase Foundation grant that we've been able to tell developers what kind of shape it is, working with the owner and you, the commission, agreeing to the grant, and people knowing that it's going to move forward. The Fairmont Tower that owned it finally sold us that building, and we have had developer review committee, and we have someone that is going to put in not only shared workspace for artists, but also accelerator business space for small businesses. So that is incredibly exciting news for our community. Let me make sure I've covered everything here. Commissioner Johnson, you at one time suggested that there was way too much in the park, that there's some of it just had to go. It was too much going on in that space, so the sculpture garden was removed. We want you to know, and that we have looked at ways to make the design work and work at its best, so thank you for that. We will be able to complete the green space with the money from the city of Shreveport, but we never came to you for a completed green space because we know, and the remaining developers know, that we've got to have programming there. And what I did not bring you today, because I just found it today, is this month a new study has been released that talks about how it's not just having green space, but it's having program space. Program space reduces crime, it increases development, and it is what communities, I know the big ones like Chicago, but some of the small ones too, throughout the country are using parks that are programmed to change their communities. So we need the pavilion, and that's not going to be built right now. You can imagine the difference in the park with a pavilion and without, whether it's Shakespeare in the park or concerts happening, or the healthy lifestyle and line dancing for exercise classes are coming from that. But we need it. That pavilion also has the restrooms and all of the staging that SHRAC would need. So if you could look just in the latter pages, and again, I'm just going to hit just the high points. I'm not going to read them all. But on page, I believe it's 5, on page 5, you have a breakdown in all that we have done in Shreveport Commons. It's not we, it's not me, it's not SHRAC. These are private citizens mostly. About 75% of what's been done in Shreveport Commons has been private funding, and the rest of it public. There are 10 pivotal projects that require proactive redevelopment, including the completion of the park, a program park, and the support by Shreveport Common on the things that they need, which is a lot of pre-development work that we do with the builders. And if you go down that list, I don't have to go into it, you will see that these are buildings that are just not going to change without something big, because they are big projects. And I'd be happy again to take you on a tour and to show them to you. Some of them look nice from the outside, but you open the door and there's nothing in there. It's just a shell. It's a lot of work that needs to be done. But the good news is that I give tours about 4 times a week with developers or people that want to live in the area, which is really exciting. There's been a lot of change happening, and we're like on this cusp, and we want to ride it with you. So we just again want to say that in 2015 you approved the $1 million on top of the $350,000 design, and that was contingent on a $1 million private sector match. Today we've raised $400,000 in private funds. We've got about $400,000 we'll know about in September. The Arts Council's raised another $600,000 for programming, and we are working endlessly, tirelessly, 7 days a week. We will look at anyone that you recommend that might be interested in supporting this effort and might be interested in being a groundbreaker, whether it's an individual or a business. And we want to thank you. We hope that you understand that the legislation for the $1 million match to name the park Caddo Common was because, and that we understand why you felt that way, because that name was in all the videos when we.
And we were first to fund.
Pardon?
And we were first to help.
Well, yes, you were the first to help. Thank you.
Thank you.
That name was in there when we first thought that y'all were going to pay the $3.5 million for the park, and then it stayed in there, and we understand that. But I hope you understand too that we're at an opportunity where we're still trying to get $1 million match, and every single one of the people that we contacted wanted to know if the park was going to be named after them for their $1 million, the private citizens, and also the city. We are so grateful that the mayor has not asked us to name the park Shreveport Common. She's gone back to the original name in the vision plan, The Common, for neutrality, and we hope that we can continue this discussion with your Economic Development Committee, because we're at an exciting time. We'd like to have a strategy session to move forward, and I hope that we've garnered your confidence that we are moving forward. We're not just talking about moving forward. Again, I want to take you on a tour and show you. That's my favorite thing to do, and I hope that you realize that this project has transformed this area. I hope you can see it, and I hope you can see that we're really on the verge of being able to say, it's done. It's great. So thank you for your time.
Ms. Wendy, so if I'm reading this right, our commitment was based upon the $1 million private fund match, but y'all have $400,000 at this point. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Did anybody
And thank
have
you for
any
coming. I
questions?
appreciate it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Pam, you got
Ms.
anything?
Pam?
Well,
Because of time, I thought Wendy did it.
Yeah, I think she did a good job.
Yeah.
I think Wendy did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great
Yeah.
job.
Thank
We appreciate both of y'all coming out here today, and Ms. Wendy, if you can get with Mr. Atkins, we'll see what we can do at our next Economic Development Committee, if you want to address them, okay? Thank you. Okay,
Got two
and,
people on the board.
well, I look while ago, they weren't on there. Gerald?
You said some additional comments to me.
yes, sir. Well, for time's sake, I just want to know, you do give good tours, Miss Wendy, and I was wondering, are you still giving tours?
Yes, sir.
All right.
I will take you one at a time as a group. I'm so happy I can have you meet the neighbors, meet the property owners. I'm going to do that.
All right. Thank you. I defer to LBJ.
One more commissioner. Commissioner Lyndon B. Johnson?
Donna or Erica, was there a time limit on the matching? Was it 3 years?
We put the money in the capital fund, which can go 3 years without any activity. If there's activity, it's until the project's complete.
Okay.
And I don't recall if there was one in the ordinance, but I've got it on my list to look up.
Thank you.
But the default is 3 years without no activity. Right? Yes.
In the capital project.
In
Right.
capital, we
In the
put it
capital project.
Right. So, I mean, in order to get the capital project, it has to have $100 matching in order to move from where it is to capital project. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
When is it 3-year up
Thank you.
then?
I still got the floor.
We have to look it up and let you know, sir.
Can you look it up,
I think we're in the
Lester?
third year.
Okay.
This is the third year, I believe, in the funding allocation of $333,000 set aside.
Yes, ma'am.
Come up with the total $1 million you all committed.
Okay.
But it's 3 years of inactivity, but you transferred the money in stages, so the activity could still be the last 300,000. So there has to be zero activity.
Right.
Okay.
And all that was based upon it being called a Caddo Common?
I don't recall if that is in the ordinance either.
I think it was in the ordinance, but when you look it up, you'll let us know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Wendy. Okay. Dr. Wilson?
Yes, sir. I got two other items. Commissioner, I did mention to you all on July the 19th, we had a human traffic conference at LSUS. And I know Commissioner Jackson and also Commissioner Matthew Lynn participated. I also participated in the conference. And I can tell you, human trafficking is real, and it's in our area. And some of those stories that those people, the victims, told will make you cry. But nevertheless, we have a pretty aggressive approach to try to deal with that. And I'd like to have Clay and Lori come forward, the two unsung heroes of the moment, because they put the 4th annual conference on. And they also got special recognition for the conference. So, Mr. Clay?
We'll try to be very brief. We did have our fourth annual conference. There were over 400 attendees. I think somewhere in the neighborhood of 150 were from out of town. But we did get recognition from the governor for combating human trafficking. By the end of September, we will have given a training on this in 7 different cities across the state, and by the end of the year in 11 different cities across the state. What's being handed out is a booklet of the 2-day conference. And I know Commissioner Jackson and Commissioner Lynn were moderators for us. Commissioner Middleton was also in attendance there, and we very much appreciate that support. And just to Erica and Dr. Wilson, the continued support for our staff to be able to do this work. So we appreciate y'all's support, and we're proud to give you all the recognition for the work.
Ms. Laura, you want to say a few things, Ms. Moderator, for the conference? And
Yes,
great job
thank
you did too.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am.
We just appreciate your support so much. We couldn't do this conference without the support of the administration and the commission. So thank you, bringing this awareness to our community and also to people from outside of our community, outside of our state. We had people attending from all over the United States, which was really exciting for us. But we couldn't do that without your support. And the more recognition that we bring to this issue, the more awareness, the more safety nets we're creating in not just our community, but communities around the state. And we thank you for that. Thank you.
And Ms. Laura, you did mention we rescued 74 people from the grips of human
Yes.
trafficking brutality.
This past year, the Department of Children and Family Services reported that there were 352 human trafficking victims under the age of 17 in our state. 74 of those were in Caddo Parish. And fortunately, those have been victims that have been identified, and services have been put in place to assist those victims.
Yes.
That's great.
Yes.
And just to give one more recognition to Brentwood Hospital, actually paid
Right.
for the
The sponsorship.
conference. They put the money up for it, and so we
Right.
very much appreciate that.
Thank you.
Right.
Commissioner Jackson?
Yes, thank you, Clay and Laurie. I was there in a double capacity. As you know, I work in the healthcare sector, and we see the human trafficking situation as well. I would encourage us to not shy away from this. We've been very aggressive, but just like we do our videos and marketing for animal services and everything else that we do, our parks and recreation, let's put that out there, because there's a lot of activity taking place that we don't know about in Caddo Parish. And so the more people that we can recruit to be a part of this, in some of those maybe 30-second videos that we put out on Facebook, and let folks know that this is in our community and it's all of our responsibilities. We all talk about crime, but we don't get as emotional or as outraged about this human trafficking issue here. And to be honest, it's happening in places like the Walmart parking lot, where folks leave their children in their car and somebody rides up and is trying to, what I did not know was when you see that missing person on TV, that could be somebody who has been caught up in the human trafficking thing. And so I'll tell you, 3 years ago, when I would see stuff like that, I would just kind of just see it and pay no mind to it, because you see it all the time and you become desensitized to it. But to see these things happening right here in our community, and to see the collaboration that you have with the hub, with the different district attorneys taking place, it's just amazing. And I left the conference very overwhelmed but empowered. And so I want to thank you again for just stepping up, and it was very thorough and the information was very good, so thank you.
Yeah, there was a big article that was everywhere on the media this past week, which guy that, I guess a couple pled guilty to that stuff, so. All right, thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Dr. Wilson?
Yes, Commissioner Dom, I'd like to read a letter I received from the Government Finance Officers Association. It says there, Dr. Wilson, we are pleased to notify that the Caddo Parish Commission, Louisiana, has received the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award for the current budget from the Government Finance Officers Association, GOFLA. This award is the highest form of recognition in government budgeting and represents a significant achievement by your organization. When a Distinguished Budget Presentation Award is granted to an entity, a certification of recognition for budget presentation is also presented to the individual or department designated as the primary responsible for having achieved the award. It has been presented to Ms. Erica Bryant, Director of Finance and Human Resources, for doing an exceptional job with our budget.
Erica? Thank you for doing a good job.
Yes, sir.
Thank you all for your support, and I'd like to thank the Department of Finance and Ms. Haley Barnett for all their work that they do on the budget each year.
Keep up the good work. Appreciate it.
It's a team effort. And that concludes my report for today, sir, unless you have something for me.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Wilson.
Okay.
Moving on to our next item.
Next, we move to commission remarks, communication remarks, and responses.
Okay. I have none at this point.
Next, President's report.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and say this, but I'll probably talk a little bit about more Monday. A lot of good things going on in our area, especially in the sports industry. If you read the paper today, we had a triathlon, I guess, is going on. So people think about there's not a lot of things going on. There is. The Independence Bowl had a tennis tournament in our area, very successful. The other thing is the Dixie World Nationals. Big baseball tournament for Dixie League. It's in Bossier, but in Shreveport, I'm telling you, all of our hotels are booked, and they're not just in Bossier, even though that is held at Tinsley Baseball Park. That's a really big thing, and hopefully we could do something about that, because it'd be nice to have a nice baseball park here in Caddo Parish.
Yeah, rent-a-cars too.
Yeah, a what?
Rent-a-cars.
Rent-a-cars, yeah.
You can get one over the
Yeah,
weekend.
you can rent one. So that's my report for today, and we'll move on to our next item.
We have no old business. We move to new business. Zoning case P1118 in regards to ordinance number 5784, amending the zoning property located 300 feet south of southeast corner Jefferson Page Road and Pines Road, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from RE Residential Estate District to C1 Neighborhood Commercial District.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson?
Second.
You want to move that to Thursday?
Second.
Yes, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Okay.
Yes, a motion to move to Thursday.
Okay, Commissioner
Second.
Johnson makes a motion to move to Thursday, seconded by Commissioner Stephen Jackson. Please vote. You're acting like some other commissioners now.
I was reading another one, I apologize. Thank you.
Which one? Wonder who the
I'm blaming on Matthew Linson, since he wasn't here today. Okay, next item.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5785, amending the budget of estimate revenues and expenditures for the Riverboat Fund for the year 2018 to provide an appropriation of $7,000 to conduct a training in Caddo Parish Fire Districts.
Commissioner Lewis Johnson.
Thank you. I was reading that previously, that's how I missed it.
You want to make that motion?
I want to make the motion. Also, I want to advise my fellow commissioners that this includes all of the fire districts. It's for all of the districts that are coming together to do preparatory training so that they will be ready to respond for disasters and not have to call any outside agencies. So
I'll second.
This, and this will be seconded by Commissioner Mike Middleton. And for clarification, it's for all of our one-time training. I don't know if it lasts several days or.
Yes, sir, it does. They're going to provide a schedule as well and an invitation to all of the commissioners to attend.
And I know that you've talked to all the other commissioners. I think everybody's aware of this. Commissioner Lyndon Johnson?
Yeah, I just want to know why was it coming out of Riverboat funding?
That's the fund we decided it was best to come out of. It's not an NGO, but it's still outside organization, so we thought that it's best that it come out of the Riverboat Fund.
This group is just one out of
No, yeah.
Okay, and I guess the second thing is, I guess the fees that the citizens in the parish pay for fire district funding, does it not cover training?
it probably, my experience, I mean, I answer it, most of them are, either have some type of property tax or per structure tax, those type of things that goes to fire district, and I'm sure, they have to budget it, but I think the problem is, or the thing that was brought to Commissioner Johnson and myself was that it's pretty strapped-heartedly for these fire districts, and they were asking for some type of help for this training program.
And as
it's not just fire district, I don't know what fire district you're in, I can't remember.
Fire District 7 is the one that's doing the training.
Yeah.
Mine is District 3, and Commissioner Johnson, they do training year-round, and they provide, do the best that they can with the budgets that they have. This is parish-wide training. They bring in instructors from outside and bring in equipment and materials in order to pull it off. So it's a greater expense than a normal training, but they do training all the time and try and stay within the budget in order to accomplish that for the most part.
Okay. I was just saying, because I know in Fire District 1, we just got hit with an increase in millage. So I just wanted to make sure that, with that plus this, and then there's another issue out there with the fire station on North Lakeshore.
You're still having issues there.
That, the people are well represented with the money that they're spending for funding for them. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, please vote. Excuse me, still one. Commissioner Jackson?
I'm good.
All right, moving on, will please vote. Our higher tech equipment finally comes into play, and the vote is 10-0, and we'll move on to our next item.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5786 to close and abandon certain alleys in the village of Morningsport.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. This is the one that the lady had come to us on several occasions, so we were able to work out something with the adjacent landowner, so hopefully she will be happy, and hopefully Mr. Bernstein will now be happy. So, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson?
Want to englobo and move to advance ordinance number 5786 and 5787.
Got a substitute motion by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, second by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts to englobo move ordinance number 5786 and 5787 to Thursday, and the item one is basically the same thing. This is being requested by the village. So please vote. That passes 10-0. Moving to our next item.
Authorize introduction of ordinance number 5788, declaring certain dedicated property.
Move to postpone for 2 weeks.
Second.
I got a motion by Commissioner Stephen Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Gerald Bowman to postpone this to our next work session, next meeting time, and nobody's on the board. Please vote. That passes, so we'll go on to our next item.
Authorize resolution number 54, resolution to approve the Caddo Parish Administrator to agree and sign contracts with Louisiana Office of Community Development and Disaster Recovery.
So moved.
Got a motion by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts, second by Commissioner Gerald Bowman. Dr. Wilson, just briefly, I think this is just kind of a standard thing that we need to do each, I guess, every year, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're not on the board? Okay,
No.
sorry. You need to talk?
No.
Okay. All right, please vote. Once we get to going, we can go pretty good. It's just kind of getting the wheels of the train going. Until it just sometimes has a squeaky wheel and completely stops. Okay. That passes 10-0.
Authorize resolution number 55 to support the legal display of a congressionally approved national motto in God we trust in government chambers.
Second.
That's moved by Commissioner Lyndon Johnson, seconded by Stormy Gage Watts. I think y'all attended a conference which this was recommended, and Todd has indicated that the other entities will have to approve this too, correct?
We'll send this resolution once passed to the city of Shreveport, and we have a committee Chambers
Sure.
Committee, they'll go to that also.
Okay.
Now,
I'll let you speak, Commissioner.
now also.
Since you made the motion,
Yeah,
go
that's
ahead.
fine. But also, I mean, the resolution is for us as commissioners, so if there's a spot, we can put it here, after the meeting, we can take it down. If they don't wanna go along with it, that's fine, but I think it's something that we need to move forward with, and if it becomes a permanent fixture for all the meetings here, that's fine, but we're voting on what we wanna do as commissioners. And that can go there and come down after our meeting, put back up and at the beginning of our meeting.
Okay.
And also, Gerald Bowman would like to be added as a co-sponsor as well.
Gerald, do you want to be added as a co-sponsor?
Sure, why not?
Okay.
Under God.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, guys, hold it down.
Where's the John
Commissioner
Escudé? No
Stephen-
brainer.
Commissioner Stephen Jackson?
Yeah, I just want to check with legal.
You leaning back. I can't see you, man. I don't have a problem.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just
That's all
want
right.
to check with legal to make sure, is this, I mean,
We'll
what,
have more information Thursday.
okay, because I know we're dealing with a situation now where we're dealing with,
Ain't the first.
we're dealing with a symbol, and I don't have a problem with it. Personally, I don't have a problem with it, but I'm kind of thinking about the issue across the street and how do we balance the two out. So I just would like to get some, and if you got to get with me offline on it.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Okay, and Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts?
Thank you. At each one of your stations, we actually brought back the actual literature, and Michelle put it at your stations about what this resolution is about, stating that for all of the city and county elected officials to join in this movement that has been going on now for over 16 years. And so we were approached in Nashville at NACO about adding this to our agenda and participating in it. And of course, I love Jesus, I believe in God, and I trust in Him, so this was easy for us to bring forward. We would ask that all of the commissioners would join in us unanimously voting
Yes.
to support this as well. Mario also sent a long, lengthy text message today stating that he's sorry he couldn't be here, and that he wanted to show his support. He needed to write a letter, also stating that he did support it even in his absence. So I wanted to make sure that we acknowledged him. And also, Commissioner Johnson has also acknowledged Gerald's request as he, Commissioner Bowman, sent us an email asking to be added as a sponsor to this as well. And I mean, all of our names should be on something that we all invite Jesus into each and every one of our meetings before we even handle any business. So I'm just asking for your support. We can move it to Thursday, and it also addresses the legal issue on here if you have any additional questions, but our own attorney will be looking into it as well, but those questions have already been answered as well. It's completely legal. So those are the only things that I wanted to add to it.
All
Thank
right.
you.
So second time around, Commissioner Lyndon Johnson?
Yes, if you look at your sheet that you also was given, that in 1956, under the Dwight Eisenhower administration, Congress adopted "In God We Trust" as our official national motto of the United States. And of all the cities and counties that have passed this and done it, there has been no legal challenges because of that, because it's all legal. So this is totally different from what's across the street at the courthouse. This is something that is passed by Congress. It's our official motto. And we do recite the Pledge of Allegiance. And so it's all there together. So, I mean, I don't see the issue. Thank you.
Commissioner Jackson?
Again, Attorney Frazier, for the record, I don't have a problem with doing this personally. I love the Lord with all my heart and all my belief and convictions. I want to make sure that we are within legal. I believe the state recently adopted something similar, and I don't know if they have pending litigation. I heard that there some of the issues that were going on with it, I think they require it in all schools now after this legislative session. I would like for us to just be with the requirements of the law. So I don't oppose this, but I want to make sure we're within whatever the confines of the law as a municipality is. And we're not contradicting ourselves either.
Okay, please vote. Well, we already voted. Nope, let's vote. And that passes 10-0. Next item.
Authorize resolution number 56, endorsement of Lyndon B. Johnson as candidate for an executive board member at-large position, Executive Board of Police Jury Association of Louisiana.
So moved.
Second.
Did I say die for lack of second?
You better not.
Okay, got a motion by Commissioner
have 7 o'clock.
Stormy Gage Watts. Who did second it? I'm sorry, who seconded it? Commissioner Lewis Johnson? Okay. Ooh, it's gonna be hard. Please vote.
That was so fun.
Wow.
Get that to the region
That
for
passed
me.
10-0 unanimously. Good job. Move to Thursday.
Authorize reappointment to the Shreveport Bossier Sports Commission. Reappoint Mr. Ken Ante to the Shreveport Sports Commission, term
So-
to expire August 30th.
So move to
Second.
Thursday. The motion by the chair, seconded by Vice President Lynn Cawthorn. I see no one on. Please vote.
Sorry.
That passes 10-0. Move to the next item.
Next, we move to communiques and committee reports.
See none. Moving to our next
Oh,
item.
let me- I
Oh,
do. I have.
Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts.
Thank you. I just wanted to remind everyone that we have our Expungement Summit coming up on Thursday, August 16th. Everyone should have a flyer at your desk or maybe in your mailbox, or maybe it hadn't made it there yet. The commercials are actively running and they are available on all of the social media sites.
Yeah.
So you may be able to share them with the citizens of Caddo Parish that this is a free misdemeanor expungement summit and
Misdemeanor.
resource fair. So I wanted to make sure that everyone was aware that this event is coming quickly, which it is next Thursday, August 16th, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And there will be 2 available sessions, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. So it'll be a little different from the previous years. They'll run a little closer, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. And it will be held at the Louisiana Agricultural Building on the Louisiana States Fairgrounds.
I saw the social media ads that are going out, so appreciate, I guess, our media person working on that. Thank y'all.
Yes, thanks. I hadn't had a chance to see it yet, but I heard that they're out there, so I plan on checking it out and sharing it today. So share, share, share.
Okay, moving to our next item.
We have no citizen comments, late arrival cards that I have.
Okay, I don't have any either.
Okay.
So at this time, I'll make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss the litigation concerning the matter on our agenda. I ask and request that our parish attorney, our parish administrator, assistant parish attorney, our clerk, and our assistant clerk, along with the commission body, who else do I need, Donna?
That's it.
Be present,
Second.
and our assistant parish attorney, Mr. Bernstein. So I made that motion, seconded by Commissioner Stormy Gage Watts. Please vote. We'll make sure all the mics are off, Todd.
Yes, sir.
He didn't call my name.
Okay.